Transparency and Problem-Centered Learning was an Association of American Colleges and Universities study funded by TG Philanthropy in the academic year 2014-2015. It involved 7 minority-serving institutions, and the co-investigators were Tia Brown McNair and Ashley Finley from the AAC&U, and myself, Mary Ann Winklemas, founder of the TILT Higher Education Project, Transparency in Learning and Teaching. Our hypothesis beginning this project depended on prior research by Tia McNair and Ashley Finley at the AAC&U and by the Transparency in Learning and Teaching in Higher Education Project. To combat the problem of losing large numbers of underserved students who drop out of college in the first year, we thought we could combine both problem-centered learning and transparent instruction in this project to benefit underserved student success. As a reminder, problem-centered learning engages students in exploring relevant, real-world, sticky problems and engaging their critical thinking skills around those. Transparent instruction focuses not just on the what of a course content, but on how students are learning that, and on why teachers have structured their learning experiences in particular ways. Our research question looked like this. We wanted to know what would be the effect if teachers used 2 problem-centered, transparently designed assignments in the course of a semester. And we would look to results like students' academic confidence levels, their sense of belonging in college, their awareness of the skills they were building, and the quality of their work. The way we implemented the project was this. Across the 7 minority-serving institutions, we had teams of faculty, 35 faculty in all, and a group of about 1,800 students. Each faculty member was teaching 2 sections of the same course. In one section, we asked the faculty to teach all the same assignments in exactly the way they were accustomed to doing. And in the other section, we asked the faculty to pull out 2 assignments, just 2, and to revise them, to make them more transparent and more problem-centered. Why 2? Well, we wanted to look at the impact of what a small intervention, a small, doable adjustment could make for students' success. The way we combined the transparency and the problem-centered was by using this template from the Transparency in Learning and Teaching project. We asked the faculty and instructors who were revising those 2 assignments in one section of their course to discuss 3 things with students before students began doing any work. First, we wanted teachers and students to talk together about the purpose of the assignment. There were 2 parts to that purpose. 1, what skills would the student practice by doing this assignment? And 2, what knowledge would the student gain that would benefit their long-term learning? How would those skills and that knowledge be helpful to the student beyond the context of this course in facing real-world problems in their lives? That was where we embedded the problem-centered piece. Second, we wanted teachers and students to talk before students did any work about the task at hand. What steps should students follow, and what steps might they avoid, in order to spend the bulk of their time focused on producing the highest quality work possible. Third, and finally, we asked the teachers and students to talk together before students did any work about the criteria for success. We wanted students to see not just a checklist or a rubric, but also examples of what those characteristics looked like in practice. Our research findings were encouraging. We noticed a boost to students' learning in 3 significant areas. First, students' academic confidence increased. Second, there was an increase to their sense of belonging in college. And third, students became more aware of the skills that they were developing during the course. Those first 2 findings, the boost to academic confidence and to sense of belonging, were very significant because other researchers like Walton and Cohn in the 2011 Science magazine publication demonstrated that with increased confidence and sense of belonging, students' persistence increased, as did their grades. The way that looks in this chart represents all disciplines and all students during the course of this experiment. You'll see the 2 groups, the less transparent and the more transparent. What I call attention to here in this chart is the effect sizes, or the ES values in the middle of the chart. In education research, we hope for an ES, or an effect size, of about 0.25 or greater to be considered important and publishable. In this case, our effect sizes were well beyond that cutoff point and approaching medium in size. If 0.25 is significant but small, 0.5 is considered a medium magnitude of effect, and around 0.8 is a large difference, a large magnitude of effect. For all students, we saw an effect size between small and medium in range. Our baseline equivalence test showed us that no students were any more likely than other students in our test group to succeed, starting out at the beginning of term. And when we look at the underserved students in our study group, first-generation students here, for example, we noticed even larger differences, even greater benefits. And for all sets of underserved students, we noticed this trend, this offering of transparent instruction around the purposes, tasks, and criteria for work before the students do the work. This has a beneficial and statistically significant impact for all students in the study, with an even greater degree of benefit for the underserved students. This is a kind of intervention that levels the playing field of opportunity for all college students to succeed. Again, this was the template that we asked the teachers to use in our study. And importantly, we asked those teachers to use this in their own way, at their own discretion, in a way that would fit comfortably with their own teaching styles. We didn't demand any specific way of implementing the template. We just encouraged faculty to use it as a framework for conversations with students, whether those conversations were on-site or online, written down, or spoken. For most of the teachers in our study, they began with assignments that contained what looked like just the task portion of the assignment, the steps that students would follow to do the work. So for a lot of our teachers, the change from less transparent to more transparent simply involved the addition of a purpose statement at the beginning of that task and a criteria statement with some examples of actual real-world work at the end of that task description. We encourage you to click below on the assignment summaries. This is where faculty participants in our study described the effort it took and the kinds of details that they changed in order to transform their assignments in this way to make them more transparent and more problem-centered. You can also check out articles by the participants about their experience in this study. These are published in the spring 2016 issue of Peer Review, the AAC&U's journal, which was also supported by the grant from TG Philanthropy. Finally, you can look to the Tilt Higher Ed website for examples of further assignments, guidelines and templates, and even slides and webinars that you could share with faculty at your home institution. You can use these resources to create transparent, problem-centered assignments that provide more equitable opportunities for all college students to succeed.